This is an exciting game for a multitude of reasons. I want to see how legit New England really is. I looked at New England's schedule. This is, maybe outside of the Ravens game, but for the rest of the season, this is going to be the most competitive and best defense that Drake Maye is going to face all year. This is the hardest team, I think, that Drake Maye and the Patriots are going to face for the rest of the year. They have the lightest schedule going forward. So if you're Drake Maye, if you are Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots, you have this opportunity against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to show everybody that you're here. This season is no fluke. And that we can make some noise in the playoffs. Because there's a whole lot of questions going on with the Patriots right now. You know, they're turnover prone. Drake Maye's been sacked a lot. You got all this going on. You know, they're squeaking by these games. They squeaked by last week against the Falcons after letting Drake London go absolutely crazy on them offensively. But they've been able to win games. But you're on the road going up against a Tampa Bay Buccaneer team led by a guy who at one point was the MVP candidate in the league. You're going up against a defense that is going to be the best that they faced in the Drake Maye era. Are you really legit? That is a question that America and everybody wants to know going forward, and this is the game to show that. You cannot turn the ball over. Statistically, the Bucs are +7 in defensive and turnover differential. The New England Patriots are at 0. So they turn the ball over on defense just as much as they turn it over on offense. So there's not a lot of efficiency in that department. The Bucs excel at that. They are able to take the ball away, and on offense, they relatively do not turn the ball over at all. It is rare for Baker and the Buccaneers to turn the ball over. If New England wins, they are absolutely legit. They have a shot to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Mike Vrabel can go ahead and lock up Coach of the Year. And they have the opportunity to win the division. That is how much this game, in my opinion, is what at stake for the New England Patriots and Drake Maye in this game. Because if we look at the Patriots' schedule, if they win against the Buccaneers, they play the Jets, they play the Bengals, the Giants, the Jets, and the Dolphins. The only tough games that they're going to have are the Ravens and the Bills. I think presently right now, if they win against the Buccaneers, they will be 8-2. They'll be 8-2. So if they beat the Bucs, that means, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. With 7 games to go, they have the opportunity to be, do the math, if they were hypothetically to lose the next 2 games, they would be 13-4. That is very, very good enough to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. 13-4. And maybe if they do beat the Ravens, they're 14-3. So they have, this game means a lot. This feels, I don't like using the topic must win a lot because I don't want to steal it from Chris Broussard, but I'm going to be totally honest with you. When you think of it in that perspective and all that weighs on this game for the Patriots, just showing how legit you are and just implications for playoff seeding, this game is huge. So that is my thing when it comes and my thought process when it pertains to the New England Patriots. Now, let's talk about another team on the other side of the ball. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a team who had a lot of noise going on with it just a couple of weeks ago. Before, They played the game against the Lions on Monday Night Football when you had the Mike Evans injury and Bucky Irvin's been hurt and things of that nature. Baker Mayfield didn't have a good game. You haven't really heard anything from the Buccaneers the last couple of weeks. Now, yes, they had a bye week the week before. This past week, they played the Saints, so it was a snooze fest. Wait, no, they didn't play the Saints. Who did they play last week? Or did they play the Saints the week before and they had a bye week? It's just this past week. I may have got it backwards. Yeah, they played the Saints just this past week, I think. I may be wrong. I'm looking up the game now. They don't have the date on it. I don't know why. Make sure I'm right. No, they had a bye week last week. So they played, yeah, because the Saints, New Orleans just played the Rams this past week. I thought I was right. Okay. So yeah. You're coming off a bye and you're super fresh. You're at home. And let's try and get the Baker and the Bucks hype back. Like, we're talking about the Buccaneers were in the conversation of being one of the best teams in the NFC, winning the division, things of that nature. Now, that's true. I still think they're going to win the division. I had a little bit of faith in the Falcons. They fell off the rocker. They're 3-5. Carolina's looking pretty decent, so they're 5-4. And you're the Buccaneers. You're 6-2. So let's get the MVP Baker show going again. Let's get those conversations back going, and let's get back into the MVP conversations. Let's get back into Super Bowl contender conversations, because even around the media everywhere, when it comes from all the big shows on ESPN and Fox, I have heard relatively nothing about the Buccaneers for the last 3 weeks. Like, ever since that game against the Detroit Lions, it just feels like everything's just nosedived. Let's not forget, this Buccaneers team is very good. They've had a lot of injuries. Bucky Irvin, he's been hurt. He's still not available. Chris Godwin, he's hurt. Mike Evans, he's out for the rest of the year. They are injury plagued right now. In Buka, it seems like he's healthy. But in this game, this is going to be the story for me. Can the O-line protect Baker Mayfield? That was the biggest problem against Detroit. Obviously, against the Saints, they're terrible. But this Patriots defense, they have a team. They have a squad defensively. They can get to the quarterback. They can play complementary football. So this is going to be a great test for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're at home. You're coming off the bye. And the Patriots have one of the best run defenses in the NFL. And this is why this game is very interesting, because I think Baker and the Bucs have always been at their best when they're able to run the football. You have no Bucky Irvin, and you're facing the number one rush defense in the league. So you're going to have to drop back to pass. That's why I kept saying, can the O-line protect Baker Mayfield? Because when Baker Mayfield, he's got guts and he's got glory. But when you get to him, Baker Mayfield's needed to bye, because he's been limping off the field a lot lately. So that bye was huge. But my thing with the Buccaneers has been all year, can they get through the season without injuries? They are literally in the same conversation with the 49ers when it pertains to just injuries. Like, they cannot go a game without somebody getting hurt. And then Baker Mayfield has been one of those individuals. There's plenty of games where Baker Mayfield is literally want to limp off the field. So that is something to think about when discussing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's get the Baker Mayfield MVP chats going. Let's protect Baker. Let's be able to go out and throw darts to Mbuka, Tez Johnson, Sterling Shepard, and all those guys. And let's win the game. That is the implication. That is the matchup. I'm not going to say who I have winning, because we'll save that for the picks of the week. But I am very, very invested in this game. And I cannot wait to watch, because I think this has the capability to be one of the best games of the weekend. And I'm going to be tuned in. And I can't wait to give you guys my thoughts on that game on Monday.